I read a book this past weekend and it called Pierre Poilievre Combative, Antagonistic, Nasty. Polls show that notwithstanding the Conservatives are ahead, a lot of people think that of him. Well, John Capobianco is a big shot Tory. He joins me right now, and I want you to tell me how you think Canadians are going to elect somebody who is, by many people's views, combative and nasty. Part of that's from the House of Commons when he was the opposition, as opposed to that nice guy, Justin Trudeau.
Well, tell me how nice guys do in politics as leaders of the opposition. They don't tend to win. I think by virtue of the position that he has as the official opposition, Stephen, he has to oppose. And there's so many things to oppose with this prime minister and this government. And I think what you're seeing now is...
But you're going to oppose it in a certain way.
Well, you
without being, as somebody said, nasty.
But you've got to do it in a way that actually resonates with a lot of Canadians. And what Pierre has been doing since he's been leader of this party is he's been able to reach out to people who otherwise wouldn't follow politics because he's resonating. He's actually laser focused on cost of living issues, on helping the little guy, the little gal, and that is getting some level of attention. And when you do that, you're gonna break some eggshells because you know what? You got a prime minister who's going to combat you at every second of the day and say that, oh, you're nasty and you're doing this. Well, in fact, he's actually trying to make sure that Canadians understand there's a contrast between what you're going to get with this prime minister and what you're going to get with a future prime minister in Pierre Poilievre.
John, is he preaching to the converted? Because I see that he has great crowds, enthusiastic crowds across Canada. But someone said the other day, they said, there's that guy by the name of Diefenbaker who was prime minister around 1960, ancient history, and he rode a protest to power. And then he didn't do very well after being in power for a number of years because he just wasn't adept. It was always a protest as opposed to building.
Well, Diefenbaker, as you well know, Stephen, was about One Canada, was about making sure diversity and inclusion, and wasn't back then, was actually trying to make everyone Canadian first, everybody else second.
But he doesn't get credit for it.
And Pierre Poilievre is doing the exact same thing. He's trying to reach out to every person that he possibly can who might not have ever voted in the past. And that's that populism that he's got that is actually going to work for him in this next election and why he's doing so well in the polls.
How's it going to work for him? And I hear you about the polls, and you're absolutely accurate on that, John, but I also keep hearing anecdotally when I run into people in the GTA and everybody in Vancouver and elsewhere, sorry about that, but they say, well, I just don't like him, I'm not going to vote for him, even though I know that Trudeau, 4 out of 5 Canadians want a new prime minister.
3 leaders, I'll tell you right away, Stephen Harper, Mike Harris, and Rob Ford were all in that category. I remember running as a candidate under Stephen Harper, and at the doors they were saying how much they hated Stephen Harper, how much he was this right-wing guy from Alberta. The first election, the second election, he actually became prime minister and then served 10 years as prime minister. Mike Harris, same thing. He became the best premier this province has ever had, and they all had the same impression of him because you have to be a tough opposition leader to win.
And then you change in office.
Well, and then you adapt to what you have to do and get the job done.
You're optimistic. Thank you very much. 3 minutes. This country needs bold and fearless discussion of the issues that are confronting it. And the Trudeau government is censoring the news and paying other news providers. So we need to keep going. Please subscribe and please donate generously. The crew needs to be paid.